Hey, what's up? This is Sifu Cuddle, and welcome to a video on two-section staff. This is called the Daisouji Guan in Choilifat system. Sometimes it's called the Yiji Guan as well. Sometimes it's called the Big Sweeper. Now, this can be a very useful and effective weapon in combat, but one of the main things you have to learn is to control the extra section, okay? Even though you have reach and this can be away from your body, you have to learn how to control that momentum before we start working on any of the swinging techniques, because if you make one small mistake, this will definitely have a consequence, okay? So, get your two-section staff and let's go get to work. Okay, so this is actually the very first thing that I teach to my students when they're learning two-section staff. The thing about the two-section staff is it's a very useful, very practical weapon when it comes down to it. You have the reach and the length of a staff, you have that power that hits, you have good forward thrust when you use the metal. It's got a little more extra pain to it, a little extra packed in that punch. But you also have this flexible section that works around blocks. And you can use the chain to trap and even disarm your opponents. And it's actually very useful in that respect. However, if you are using this weapon and you make a wrong movement, whether you're swinging or if you hit something and this extra section just goes anywhere it wants to, you will have a chance of hitting yourself and hurting yourself. So the very first thing you need to do is learn how to control the momentum. If you can kill the momentum and completely stop this thing from swinging, you have a chance of protecting yourself, or at least changing the path and redirecting it and using it into another technique. That's the level of mastery that you want to approach this with. So what we're going to work on is just an exercise to get used to controlling this extra section before we work on anything else, okay? So the first thing I want you to do is make sure that no matter what, when you grab the staff, you want to keep your hand away from where this section is. If you let it relax, see where it is right here? I never want my hand to come up past this point. We'll get into more of protecting yourself from this later and a way of training yourself to keep yourself safe. But once this thing closes in, you're going to crack your fingers and it's not comfortable. So make sure that we don't go past this point. All right. Now the regular grip that we're going to grab is our backhand is going to go all the way down to the base end of the staff. I always like to have my pinky come over just the end right here so I always know where I'm at. And then you can go a little bit wider than hips distance apart, but we want a nice comfortable position and the thumbs pointing in the same direction. Okay, so both thumbs are pointing towards the front of the staff. Now, from here, I don't need to change my grip. My hand grip is always going to be the same. And I want you to think of drawing an upside down U, okay? Now, backhand I'm going to bring pretty much next to my hip, and then my front hand, I'm going to let the staff end just relax and down. From here, think of like there's like a little fence, and I want to jump the staff over. What I'm going to do is raise up, and then let it come down to the other side. Now, don't worry about control, get used to feeling here. Raise up, and come down. Notice the free end is just swinging around. That's not our end move that we want, but you got to get used to knowing where the staff moves with this. So if you just swing it over and it keeps going, then you know where the power is going into this. You put a little too much power and you didn't control the momentum. Okay, so we're just going to move from one side, relax, to the other. Okay. Now the idea here is what we're going to eventually move up to is that you can do this with power and speed to whip it over from side to side and then stop the momentum so that it just hangs from side to side here. Or you can keep it going from side to side. Notice as I do this, my backhand stays by my hip. That will stay in the same position as I go from side to side. No problem. The front hand does all the work. I'm not just bringing my hand directly sideways and flicking the wrist over. If I do that, I'm going to get the propeller spin, and that's not what we want here. All we want is a direct up and down. So I have to move my front arm in a small U shape, upside down U shape, as I flick the front of the staff up and over. The very last thing you want is that when you do this, the axis of rotation, I don't want to go out forward. The very first stage of this is I want to keep it as flat as possible in front of me, kind of like a propeller spin. If I'm standing up at a wall, if I bring this to a wall, I won't hit the wall as I swing it over from side to side. That's the important thing you want to do here. And that's what you want to train. You don't want to lose that rotation of axis, or the axis of rotation. Now, once you get comfortable with that, then it's time to start playing with it. So now I can work on a forward or a backward here, using a single axis of rotation, or I can start on one end and then try to come over like a figure 8 and then stop it, okay? But anytime you're doing this, try to just work on a simple back and forth and then get comfortable with moving the staff and stopping the staff. You make the motion even bigger from side to side, but you want to be able to control it and stop that momentum at the end. Work on this, make it your warm-up. Play around with it, step to the side, do it, step to the other side, do it, get really comfortable. Because once you start swinging this thing around, that feeling, that understanding of the weapon is going to be paramount. All right, so there you have it. A nice, easy way to develop feeling for the staff so that you can stop the momentum and control it. As you get used to the motion, start adding more power, make the staff travel more, focus on the side to side, change the angle or the axis of rotation, and really explore working with this staff, okay? We'll build on this later, but once you guys get this down, we'll be able to really focus on the other techniques without you hurting yourself. If you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button, and as always, be sure to subscribe. Till next time, this is Sifu Cuddle.
Bam! Fist with a forearm.